What is up? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Back with some more Spider-Man 2 with the recent release sequel to the highly accustomed first one. I figured I'd give my take and my review of this game now that I've recently platinumed it and tell you if I would honestly recommend it or not. So long story short, yes, I would definitely recommend this game. If you were a fan of the first one, you're definitely going to like the sequel because in my opinion, I think the sequel is superior to the first one. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. The sequel obviously is going to have two main characters with Miles and Peter, and one of the best parts I think of this game is how I think it has a great pace to it. It never gets, overbears its welcome or just stays longer than it needs to be, and just has a really perfect balance, not just between gameplay elements, because the gameplay is awesome, but just in terms of walking around or taking in the atmosphere or just interacting with stuff and hearing some of the story, because this game is definitely loaded, and the first one was pretty personal tale, but this one is even more of a personal tale. But as usual, it does have its fun, lighthearted moments as well, but also a lot of deep emotional moments, and it just dials it up to 11. But at the heart of this game, I really think where it excels and where I really enjoyed it is it has a perfect blend of story and gameplay. I never feel like one overwhelms the other, and when one kind of gets to a point where it's pushing like maybe story a little heavy or gameplay a little heavy, it reverses it, and it has a perfect blend, not just changing it up, but change it up when it needs to be. And I feel like that's why I really enjoyed this story and this gameplay really well. But let's stick with the gameplay, because obviously it's a lot of fun to swing around as Spider-Man, either of the Spider-Man, as they're both fun to play as, and you even have moments where you fight alongside each other. But the combat is as fun as it's ever been. But I really feel like where it really excels even more to me personally is not just the combat, and both Spider-Man, Miles, and Peter having different abilities and stuff, and also the abilities change depending on when the story is or progressing. But I just feel like it really is a lot of fun when you're just flying, as I like to call it, through the city, because it's just the traversal. I'll say this right now: the traversal in this game, it's the best traversal system, period. I think in any superhero game, it is so much fun to just basically fly around. You have these little like air circles where you can use your web wings, and it is so much fun. You can literally just, like, without ever even touching the ground, just basically zoom like as if you're like, I don't know, like Superman, just flying through the air at just Mach 7 speeds. It's a lot of fun to move around the city and a lot of fun to get to places. Obviously, you can do it the traditional way, webbing, which I mostly do this way, but you have so many options, and it just looks so cool and it feels so satisfying just to get to where you need to go, do a quest, and just go in there and fight. But let's get to the quest, as once again, one of the fun part I had in the first Spider-Man game is find the quest where you find the iconic villains and getting into there, and maybe find some other icons. And obviously, being a Spider-Man fan as I am, I may get a lot more references than just the average person, but I still feel like a lot of people will enjoy this. And once again, you do have a few surprises, and I'm not going to spoil these surprises, so I'd like you guys to find them out yourself. But I did enjoy some of the villains I didn't know were necessarily going to be in this game, as well as the possible setup of other things that are coming. But I think the side quest that really got me, though, and this really shocked me, because I always look at it like, which villain is going to pop up and how cool is it going to be to interact, or what character is going to go in there. But it was actually the side quest where it was like there was no fighting and just normal stuff where you just sit down and you're listening to one of these characters talk to, even if it's just a random person. And I was surprised at how deep and touched I was just hearing some of this stuff. Some of the stuff is just truly, sad. Even one with a returning character from the first one really got me, and it wasn't, the whole quest, you're basically listening to somebody, and you might have to go from point A to point B, but just narratively, it really moved me. I was really shocked behind that, and this shows you how much level of detail was put in some of these quests, not just the ones you obviously want to see with some of the villains or other famous Spider-Man characters, but just these random, seem like, run-of-the-mill, like, seemingly boring quests, but turn into very emotional, impactful. But obviously the main story is where it's at, and it's good. It's really good. All the characters really shine. Obviously you got Pete, MJ, and obviously Harry coming back, and then you got Miles and Genki, and you got his whole entourage and Peter's whole entourage, and you just really feel for both Peter and Miles as well as other characters, because they can't get a break. Like, the whole weight of the world is coming down on them, and you just see how hard it is to be Spider-Man, or Spider-Men as they call it, and just trying to keep up the mantle, but just trying to do simple things, keep a job, or keep people's trust, or just hanging out, or just being able to communicate. And obviously, with the whole story, it throws a huge wrench into that, and there's so many emotional, impactful moments. And I just feel like it really makes a lot of the gameplay even feel that much more impactful when you combine really heavy story moments, but really insane, great gameplay moments. And it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun moments. There's a lot of great boss fights. I'll say this right now. The boss fights, I think, are definitely an improvement compared to the first ones, because they feel like a spectacle. But it's not just a spectacle to watch. It's also, fun to play. So it kind of balances both of that out. But I never had like a moment where I felt like, man, it was a drag, to get through in terms of a gameplay moment. I mean, you have your certain moments, but overall, I just feel like the perfect blend of story and gameplay is what really shine through this game, because you get so many moments that just really impact you, and they make you think, man, how are these guys going to get out of this, or how are they going to overcome this, or is their relationship forever fractured? And it does it so well. These characters are done so excellently well. I was definitely so invested and so emotionally attached to all these characters. So when you see them, failing or suffering or going through their problems, you really start to feel for that. And as I said, as a narrative storytelling standpoint, this game is definitely an excellent story. And I can't say enough to you guys that I was just so deeply invested with everything that was going on. I never had a moment that I felt like it dragged or I wasn't feeling it. I just was wondering what was going to happen next and how it was going to go down. But you also have, as I said, your funny moments. And once again, as I said before, J. Jonah Jameson is definitely, you can say what you want about him and his Spider-Man hatred, but he is definitely funny as hell in this game. And once again, he brings it. I loved him in the first one, and I definitely love him in the second one. And once in a while, you got to give him credit. While his takes are usually really off, but they are hilarious, he'll once in a while do a really good take. And it's like, he's kind of right there. He's not wrong, but J. Jonah Jameson is definitely a right in this whole game. But nonetheless, you also have, your other side quests where you collect things, like you collect the spider bots, or you might do other stuff to not just get skill points to raise your character and get more abilities, but also to maybe get stuff to get some more backstory and get some Spider-Man lore if you're really into that stuff. But it's all there just like in the first one. But I also think they don't overdo it as well. I feel like they kind of tone it down and not just have a bunch of collectibles just for the sake of a bunch of collectibles. I think it's a lot more tame. I also think it helps that a lot of this stuff, when you unlock it, in terms of like the districts, I like how they did it now, where it's not like you just find 3 waylay points and they unlock the district, you can fast travel. They do it more where like the more activities and quests you do in a district, it unlocks more things. And I think it's just done better in terms of orchestrating, not just, find the points and just scatter throughout the map. Because some of these things, you have to legitimately find them, so it can take a little while. But I feel like the whole progression is done a lot better than it was in the first one. But overall, it's definitely not going to overdo its bearing and not just be, a collect fest. You have a few things it goes, but never to a point where you just feel like, hey, there's 150 things scattered across the map. Go and find them and, have at it or whatnot. I really enjoyed Peter and Miles' friendship in this game because, as I said before, it's not easy being any Spider-Man, and both of these two really, you get a good sense of them inside the suit, but also outside the suit, and all the stuff they got to balance. And that's a key part in this game, is just having a balance. And you really see why it's so hard to be Spider-Man, but you can definitely relate to all their struggles, making them so relatable and just so lovable. And that both of them were excellent in this game. Another cool part about this whole thing is just the whole fast travel, and it's basically just about as instantaneous as you get. And anywhere on the map you want to traverse, just point to it as long as you unlock the district, and bam, you're basically going there. So I can't say enough of how fast instantaneously that is. I did encounter a few bugs, but nothing really groundbreaking. Most of it was just kind of audio stuff. I did have, I think, 1 or 2 crashes, but other than that, most of my bugs were just the voice would either they wouldn't match up with the lips, and it would happen. I think in 2 cutscenes it happened, or in this case, it would just keep repeating the same thing over and over. Most of I just kind of found was funny. Obviously, you get your graphical anomalies sometimes, but in a game where you're moving as crazy as Spider-Man, it's to be expected. The last thing I want to talk about is the thing that most people have been debating about, and that's the length of the game. Is the game too short? I think the game is just right, just at the perfect length, because it never overstays its welcome. It's not just being long for the sake of being long, because I feel like a lot of games in this type of genre don't need to be as long as they are, but they're just there to be like, hey, it's 50 hours, but 15 of those hours really didn't need to be there. It's just there to pad the time and have a bunch of collectibles that really don't matter. Here, I think it's the perfect length. You are invested, and you're getting a great, excellent story with great character moments, and as well as excellent gameplay. So I think it's the perfect length and stuff like that. Obviously, I'm going to jump in and devour this game, but nonetheless, I really had a blast with this. I highly recommend this game. In conclusion, I think Spider-Man 2 is an excellent sequel that surpasses the original one in just about every single way. I also forgot to mention that there's a lot of excellent suits in this game, not just for Peter but for Miles, but they divided both of them as well as variants of those suits, and I think the suits are dope as hell. But there's so much to do, an excellent story, excellent gameplay that I think is the perfect length, never overstays its welcome. If you're wondering if you should get it now or wait, if you wait a while, they probably have a lot of the certain bugs, which none of them are game breaking or anything like that, but just a lot of them I just thought were kind of hilarious or fun. But if you wait maybe a little while, they probably have a lot of that patched and fixed by now. And just remember, you got Black Friday around the corner, holiday season, so there probably is going to be a sale for this game. But no matter when you decide to pick it up, I don't think you'll go wrong whether you want to pick it up now or wait. You'll definitely, I think, be extremely satisfied. And also, the villains were awesome as usual, especially Venom. Obviously, everyone wants to see what he is. But yeah, Venom was excellent in this game. But nonetheless, that is my opinion. I want to hear your guys' opinion. Did you like Spider-Man 2? If you have played it, do you think it's better than the original one? Or do you perhaps think the first one was a little bit better? Let me know down in the comment section down below. But thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully I can see you guys back in the next one. Thanks, and I'll see you all later. And also, just don't forget.
He wants to play!